and welcome back to the From the Nosebleeds podcast, season 3, episode 21. We're here on a Monday, the Monday after week 1. Lots to discuss on the show today. As always, I'm Tomas Pocrnic, joined by Thomas Coburn and producer Paolo Gismondi. Coburn, what's going on?
Oh, I'm just jumping right into it. Doesn't it feel like now we're back?
Now we are back.
I'm not even going to answer how. I'm doing fine, but like now it feels like we're back. Even the first episode was like, yeah, we're back, but like there was no games played. Now there's been games. Now it's like we're just in the swing of things again.
We've been building to it all off season long, but when that Thursday, like it's like the Thursday morning, I'm like, oh, there's going to be NFL game. There's going to be an NFL game today. And then it really sunk in, I think, after, that first drive, that first game with the Cowboys and Bucks. And then yesterday was just, what an amazing week 1, honestly, one of the better week 1s I can remember. There were a lot of upsets, a lot of underdogs winning games, tons of storylines. And of course we have a lot to talk about today. How was your week 1? I'd love to ask. I see week you got that Lions hat right there.
I'm wearing it.
We'll jump in with the Lions. I think that's a good place to start, honestly.
So, we lost, but we showed it's going to be the story of the whole season. Whether or not we played well or not, it has nothing to do with whether we win or not. It's just about whether the team tries almost. But I think the score was 38-7 at one point. It was 38-10,
I think.
Or it was something like that. Anyways, but we came all the way. But Jared Goff, not very good. But there's on Twitter, how there's the charts of where the throws are across the whole game. It's there was barely any throws over 10 yards. It's just, check downs. If you have Hawkinson in any of your fantasy leagues, anybody listening, you're going to have a great year because he's just, that's basically all he throws to. There's nobody else to throw to. But you know what? I mean, they showed fight, what else can I ask for at this point with this level of talent on the team?
Honestly, I said this after the game. If I'm a Lions fan, I'd be pretty happy with the result. Reminds me a lot of the Dolphins 2 years ago when Brian Flores first took over. It's not a talented roster. We all know that. But the fact that they were able to claw their way back in that game, you said it showed some fight. I think that's a really positive sign. And that's what you want going forward when you're trying to build eventually what's going to be a winning team. I didn't watch much of Jared Goff, but you said it wasn't a very impressive.
He's still Jared Goff. He's still Jared Goff.
It's understandable.
Yeah,
the one thing
changed.
I'm sure you saw, obviously watching the game, but this is the one thing the whole world saw, and I'd love to hear your take on it. Just I don't know if it's your defensive coordinator or an assistant coach, just tearing into Jeff Okudah. Also, is it a requirement to just be jacked out of your mind to coach for the Lions?
Yeah, I think that every coach on the staff is a former player, so they're all they stay in good shape. They have to. They stay in the gym. But no, that clip that went crazy on Twitter, whatever, Instagram, 2 seconds later, they cut it out of the video, of course. But there's a hug and there's a smile and there's it wasn't like he was just Okudah was getting ripped. Of course, now he's out for the year.
Which is
great
terrible
stuff there, but it's just awful. But. And he worked so hard over the offseason. Everybody was ripping him. He's people were calling him a bust, and now he can't even prove himself. Anyways, comeback season for him. But yeah, at the end of the clip, he hugs him. It's all good. You see them smiling at each other. It's fine. I think I like that. I like that intensity from coaches. Similar. Patricia was like that. He was really fiery, but there was no love almost with the players. Now it's there just seems to be a little bit more mutual respect between the players and the coaches. And there was none of that with Patricia. Just ask Darius Slay. So,
there you go.
It is what it is, but I'm happy with the coaching staff. I'm happy with the effort overall. I can't be mad.
So I know going into the season, you probably had a record prediction for the Lions at maybe 3-4 wins.
I had it at 2.
2? Is that changing at all after what you saw yesterday?
Yeah, I think so. I think though, I think they could win between 4, even 5 wins. I just think when you're a scrappy team like that, you're gonna win some games that you're not supposed to on paper, and you're just gonna end up. Yeah, I think they could get close to 5 wins.
I think that answers also in part by seeing the other teams play in the NFC North, the Vikings, the Bears, the Packers. Of course, the whole NFC North lost yesterday. We'll get into that later. I think we'll go to my team now and the Miami Dolphins. I don't know if you had the chance to watch much of that game. You probably didn't, and rightfully so. The Chiefs and the Browns were playing at that time, which was probably the game of the week, and Jameis was carving up the Packers at that time too. But Miami ended up squeaking out with a 17-16 win. It was an ugly win. One thing I want to say about the game, though, there were 3 rookie quarterbacks that started this week. None of them won. Justin Fields and Trey Lance got some action, but they didn't start. I was really, really impressed by Mac Jones yesterday. I thought he did not look like a rookie quarterback at all. Yeah, a lot of his yards came from more shorter throws, but I thought he handled himself really, really well against a strong Miami defense.
I mean, you mentioned you didn't think that I watched much of the game, which is true, but it seemed that every time I did flip to the game, I think I only saw one snap of Tua playing. It just always happened that the Patriots were on offense, and it's like maybe the most like cliche thing in the world, but it's like the comparisons to Tom Brady are like
he's right a Patriots quarterback. Like he's is
through and through.
And I said this going into the draft. I honestly was not the biggest fan of Mac Jones going into the draft. And if I'm wrong on that, I'll, willfully admit it. But I said, if he goes to the Patriots, he'll have success. It's just the way they are, the way that, organization runs itself, just the whole thing of when he got his first touchdown, he didn't want the ball. They tried to give him the ball to, take home as a souvenir. He didn't want it. He's just so focused on winning. And they kind of fumbled the win in the end. That's supposed to be a bit of a bad joke because they did fumble in the red zone. But I don't know. The Patriots look like a strong team this year. And I think, that's Mac Jones' first start of the year. I think he'll get better as the year goes on.
Yeah, the thing that impressed me the most about him too is just like, you look at all the other quarterbacks that got drafted, it's all about like, their ability to run and like Fields can take off and he can fly. Same with Lance. It's like Mac Jones doesn't have that, but his ability to move around in the pocket it's really good. Like even in his first start, it's like he's got great feet. Maybe, he's not going to take off and rip off a 35-yard run and scramble and, juke 2 defenders. It's never going to happen. But, he can move well within the pocket. And if he can avoid that 1 sack and check the ball off, it's like, that's all you need.
Yeah, he actually didn't even get sacked yesterday, the whole game. So that's right there. It's pretty impressive because Miami does have a strong defensive unit. And, going forward, like next week he plays the Jets. That's it's a much, much easier matchup than what he dealt with in week 1. So I think the AFC East is going to be really, really strong this year. The Bills lost, but we know how good they are. The Dolphins look as good as they were last year, if not better. And hey, the Jets put up a decent fight too against the Panthers. So that'll be a good division to watch going forward for sure.
How is Tua though? You got to give me a letter.
I'm glad you asked. If I were to give him a grade, I would maybe go B- yesterday. He was all right. Nothing flashy, nothing spectacular. He got the job done in the end. He had a couple bad throws. He had a couple really, really nice plays. The one thing I will say though is week 1 is the week where everyone, it's all we've seen so far. So people take the 60 minutes of game time and they run with it. This is what's going to happen every week for the rest of the season. I think that's maybe his hardest game he's going to play all season on the road in New England. If you look at quarterback stats versus Bill Belichick, even last year, and I'm not talking about rookie quarterbacks because we know how, hard it is for rookies to beat Belichick. I'm talking about guys like last year, Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, Josh Allen. They really, really struggled against the Patriots. And I think the Patriots have probably a top 5 defense in the NFL this year. So he was all right, room for improvement, but I think he'll be okay.
And now I guess you lead the division. Is that true?
We do. And I don't know the last time Miami's led the division. So it's a good feeling. I know it's only week 1, but next week we have a tough matchup against the Bills. I'm sure we'll talk about that in a later episode this week. I guess we'll flip back to your division a little bit about the NFC North. We have to talk about the Packers. Aaron Rodgers, we all know the story. He caused all this drama all offseason. Essentially, he acted like he was bigger than the franchise, that he should have more say. that they're not doing things the right way. They're not setting him or not putting him in a position to win. And he comes out and he registers a lower passer rating than if you were to just throw the ball in the dirt on every single snap of the game. 2 picks, less than 150 passing yards. He got me touchdown. 0 fantasy points, which was really disappointing because I had a decent output from my other players this week. What are you going to do? It's just, it's a horrible look for Rodgers and the Packers.
It may be his worst game of his career, but I don't know. When I was watching that game and when I went back and watched the highlights of the full game, because I was flipping through, it's like, I've never used this word to describe how Aaron Rodgers has looked in a game. And I don't think he's ever looked like this, but he looked uncomfortable. He looked out of, it's something you just never see. If the Packers lose, it's always because of the defense, or, maybe he makes one mistake or whatever, but he almost looked like a rookie quarterback. It's like, what is going on? He was just all out of sorts. I don't know if that's because of the crazy offseason. Like, I'm sure that has nothing to do with it. Like, he's a professional athlete. It's not because of the trade rumors or whatever, but yeah, he looked uncomfortable. The whole offense looked out of sync, and it's just, I mean, I don't know. Like, the Saints defense, give them credit, and they're probably a top 10 defense in the league, I think. Yeah, definitely. But just absolutely wild to see him that uncomfortable the whole game.
Yeah, those 2 interceptions he threw were really, really bad. One was a bomb to Marquez Scantling. It's the double coverage, completely overthrown. The other one was way behind Adams, and it was a red zone turnover nonetheless. So, and listen, if he does this in week 8, when the Packers are 6-2, 6-1, whatever, yeah, it's not that big of a deal. Great players have bad games every now and then. But the fact that after all this noise, he comes out and does that, they lose 38-3. And again, this is not to discredit the Saints. They had an amazing game, and it's amazing what they've done considering what's happened in New Orleans and having to play a home game in Jacksonville. But it's really, really something from Aaron Rodgers that we're not used to seeing at all. I don't know. Does this change your opinion on the Packers going forward? I thought that they were, they had a good shot to at least come out of the NFC this year. I know we did Super Bowl picks last episode. Did you not have the Packers going to the Super Bowl, or am I making that up?
Did I pick them? I might have picked them. I'm trying to remember. There's a very good chance I picked them. But you know what I also did say? When we did bold predictions, maybe like 4 episodes ago, one of my predictions was the Green Bay Packers will struggle and the Minnesota Vikings will win the division. Well, I mean, the Vikings now lost it.
I think the Lions might win the division.
Yeah, maybe the Lions will win the division. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, they play the Lions Monday Night Football, week 2. If there's ever a game where you can just bounce back and put up 40 and forget that week 1 ever happened and be on your way to a 5-1 record in the first 6 weeks, this is it. It's going to start Monday night. Cause for concern. I don't think you can. After week 2, if this happens again in week 2, now it's like there's something actually wrong with the offense, and this needs to be addressed. I don't know what if you can't put up points against the Lions defense, I don't know what to tell you. The 49ers put up 41, so you got to figure that out.
Yeah, just a little thing about that game. At probably about 2:00 yesterday, maybe 2:30, 49ers were up 38-10. Of course, the Packers hadn't played yet. I picked the 49ers this week in my survivor pool. And I said to my dad, I'm happy that at least week 1, I had a bit of a breeze for survivor this week, because the 49ers were up by a huge amount. And I didn't see a Lions comeback coming at all. Fast forward in the span of 3 hours, I'm really not confident in the Packers for survivor next Monday night. And who knows, I might still end up taking them. But yeah, you're right. It is a bit of luck on their side on their schedule, because if there is a game that they're going to get back on track, it's of course this one.
Anybody should be able to get back on track against the Lions. Yeah. Even Tyrod Taylor. Look at Tyrod Taylor in the Texans. Shout out to Tyrod Taylor from getting a punctured lung from a trainer and Justin Herbert taking off. And now he's like, maybe still got something left in the tank. Him and Brandon Cooks.
You think the Chargers are regretting, going with Herbert over Taylor now after watching week 1?
They probably should have kept Tyrod, right?
Hey, you mentioned bold predictions when we were talking about that last one. And we have to give love to Jameis. And I'm going to give some love to myself over here right now, because as the president of the Jameis fan club, I've been telling everyone for so long, and even though I was joking most of the time, now that he's playing out of his mind, I'm not joking anymore. This guy's the real deal. He's going to take the Saints to the playoffs this year. Lock it in. That's my week one. You know, if you want to call it an overreaction, call it that. But I'm all in on Jameis. I love what he did yesterday. Hey, the Saints are a complete team. All they need is a quarterback, and Jameis can get the ball. We heard Drew Brees say it himself. Maybe that's what we were missing last year, because this guy can sling the ball down the field.
Yeah, and don't forget, Michael Thomas will be back, I guess, maybe around week 7, week 8. Yeah. So that'll give him a boost at the wide receiver position. But is it one of the most bizarre stat lines of all time?
I was just going to say that. Less than
5 touchdowns. What do you throw? He threw like 150 yards or something.
Yeah.
How do you throw
180? Yeah.
It's like, what? I saw the 5 touchdowns and I was like, how many yards did he throw for? And it's like, okay, none. Like, I don't even, but good for him. That's all he needs to do is, well,
I mean, he only threw 20 passes yesterday. I think he was 14 for 20. He finished. So he threw 14 completions and 5 of them were touchdowns. Is that going to happen every week? No. But the fact is, I mean, this guy can get it done. And the Saints, look at their roster, top to bottom. To me, they kind of compare to the Colts. Phenomenal O-line, great run game. And we saw it yesterday how good their defense is. Marshawn Lattimore just absolutely locked up Devontae Adams all game. And the Saints locked him up right after the game by giving him that contract extension. So I don't know. I'm very, very high on the Saints going in this year. Do you want to get into our overreaction, or not our overreaction segment, but just one team we're sold on, one team we're out on through week 1?
Yeah, we were supposed to do it at the end. Let's just skip right to it.
Let's just get into it now. It just feels like the perfect segue over here.
Are you sold on the Saints? I feel like this is your pick.
You know what? It should be, but that to me that's cheating. If I say that right now, if I'm going to say one team I'm sold on, I think after week 1, it's the Arizona Cardinals. And I remember
falling trap to the Kyler Murray, the first 5 weeks, Kyler.
About 365 days ago, I sat in this exact same chair and I said, I think Kyler has a shot to win the MVP this year, because I watched him week 1. I watched him week 2 a year ago, and I was wowed. I thought he was really, really something special. Listen, I know it's just one game. I know they're in a very, very tough division, but I think Kyler continues to get better. DeAndre Hopkins, top 3 wide receiver in the NFL. They brought in AJ Green. I love the 1-2 punch running game they have with Chase Edmonds and James Conner. Their defense, Chandler Jones is healthy. JJ Watt, I know he's not the JJ Watt that he used to be, but he's still a really, really productive player. Budda Baker in the secondary. I'm really, really high on this team. I have no idea how this NFC West is going to play out, but if they can win all the games that aren't in their division and just split in their division, I think they have a really good chance this year.
Now, if I'm going to do the team that I mean, I agree. I think the division's the only part that's questionable. They might win that whole division is stacked. Every team is stacked. I love Kyler. I have him on one of my fantasy teams. Love the performance yesterday against that Titans secondary. But I'm going to do the team that I'm out on. I'm selling all my stock in them. Can I say the Giants? Is that bad?
Oh,
is it bad to sell all my stock?
I can't believe you. Are you serious?
Is it bad to give up? Is it bad to throw them out? No, I can't. I won't.
So
I
all offseason, you've been telling me Giants this, Giants that. And I've been telling you,
but I may be out on them.
They may be fool's gold. I'm telling you, I'm not high on the Giants. And despite me not being high on the Giants, all offseason I've said, I don't know about this team. I don't know about Daniel Jones. I still picked them week 1. I picked them against the spread. I thought they'd cover against the Broncos, and they couldn't even do that. And now their biggest supporter, their biggest non-Giants fan supporter, are bailing on them.
All right, no, I'm not selling. I'll switch to the team I'm sold on. I'll do the team I'm sold on first. Then, I'm all in on the Browns, and I know people think there's a lot of people that are high on them, but I'm all in. Okay, you saw in that game. I guess we'll get to it later, but I'm all in on them. I think I've never been a big Baker fan. I'm still not that big of a fan, but seen him work the play action game. It's just even better than it was at the end of last year. Browns are the team. I'm all in. I put all the chips on the table for the Browns this year.
I was a Browns hater pretty much all of last season, but
Well, I think we both were.
I've come to realize it's not about Baker Mayfield. And Baker Mayfield's he's a good player. He's a good quarterback, but that team around him is so balanced, and everyone does their job. And it's literally set up perfectly for Baker to succeed because he doesn't have to do a whole lot. They play, any 30 other team yesterday, they win. And I genuinely believe that. And they probably still should have won 100%. The game. It's just that Mahomes is just too magical. So I like that pick for teams that are so long, because I'm pretty sold on the Browns too. Can I say the team that I'm out on?
Go, yeah.
Because I've been waiting for this moment, because there came to a point last year where I said, and this is on record, I said, this team is dead to me. I've had enough of them. Every week they disappoint, and I'm sure you know who it is. It's the Atlanta Falcons. What an abysmal performance that they put in yesterday. They draft Kyle Pitts 4th overall, hardly even use him. This roster needs I think a complete reconstruction. And I think, and I really wanted them to do this during the draft, partially because I wanted Pitts to fall to Miami, but that's another story. I think they're going to look back 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and say, we should have taken Justin Fields.
And just, restart. Yeah. I mean, it's tough to say. It's one game with Pitts, but I mean, I think I said,
that's not really get against Pitts. I think Pitts is going to be a phenomenal player.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be an amazing player, and he'll be that in Atlanta. But
it doesn't matter.
I don't know what the direction is for this team, because they're not bad enough this year where I think they'll pick in the top 5 again. I know they looked really bad yesterday, but I think they have talent that they'll get it going and they'll win some games. But they're not good enough to make the playoffs in my books.
Yeah, there's absolutely no way. Also, quickly, another player, a player I'm sold on quick, Jalen Hurts. People need to start respecting Jalen Hurts. This guy, I mean, I feel like people kind of just think he's bad for no reason at all. I have no idea, but he played really well against the Falcons yesterday. Team I'm out on, though. Does it count if I've been out on this team the whole offseason?
Are you going to say the Titans?
Yeah.
I think it counts. There came to a point yesterday where I was watching that game just because I thought it was going to be such an entertaining game, because the Titans are supposed to have this electric offense. We all know how high flying the Cardinals are. There was a point in time where I was watching and I thought, Coburn, he must be having a parade right now, because you said, and this, to be fair, this was before they traded for Julio, because I know you changed your mind a little bit when they got Julio.
Yeah.
Did you say they were going to win 5 games at one point?
I said 5 games, and maybe I'll be right in the end.
So you can go in with that if you double down and say that you still think that they're going to win 5 games.
Yeah, fine, I'll do it. I hate the Titans so much. I think, we'll go 5 wins. Their offensive line was it Chandler Jones. How many sacks did he have yesterday? 5?
5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. So
not a bad day.
Not a bad day at all.
Not a bad day at the office.
I think this whole episode in general, I think we'll watch this maybe even as early as like week 8 and say, wow, the overreactions after 1 week of football is just incredible.
Yeah.
But hey, and also I'll give some love to Jalen Hurts too, because he has been counted out, underrated. It seems like the Eagles haven't even given him enough love. Like the organization hasn't backed him enough. But hey, if he's good, the guy who beat him out for the quarterback position at Alabama must be even better.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's Tua. So, do something, do whatever you want with that information. I guess we'll move on to our last game that we got to discuss. And it's your friend over there. He moved teams this offseason, and what an electric, pretty much the perfect debut he could have had for his new team on prime time. And that's Matthew Stafford and the Los Angeles Rams. You had a great tweet, I thought, and you said the national media is finally going to find out about Matthew Stafford. And I think they did last night.
It's almost a detriment to just how bad, the media can, like, the fact that on TV, it's like people are acting like, where did this come from? It's like, the guy's been doing it for literally a decade, and I get it. The Lions were bad. I mean, there was a couple playoff years of them. I get it. They were bad, so they're not going to get the attention. Now he's in LA, the limelight. Go ahead, have a field day. But it's just like, that's what he does. That's Matt Stafford, 300 yards. I think he threw 3 touchdowns, no picks.
Yep.
The no picks. He'll throw his fair share of picks because he'll take those chances. But the run game looked good for the Rams, which I was surprised at. Henderson looked decent. Sony Michel just really didn't touch the field at all, right?
I mean, he hasn't really had much time in training camp. Don't worry. I drafted Darrell Henderson as my running back 1. So that means that by week 4, Sony Michel's a starter. So don't worry. Give him
That's
some time.
That's how that works out.
It is. I'm telling you.
But yeah, I mean, Stafford looked phenomenal. That game was the only, like, out of the time slots, the only letdown, just because the Bears never really had a shot, in my opinion.
Yeah, there was a point where, first of all, I thought Matt Nagy was going to get fired at halftime. I'm being completely honest. This guy went for 4th downs like he was playing Madden. It was just every single time he would go for it. He went for a 4th and I think it was a 13-point game. So it was a 2-score game. They could have gotten a field goal to push it to 10. I get it. It's still 2 scores, but there were 10 minutes left in the 4th quarter, and he went for a 4th and 14 with Andy Dalton at quarterback. Are you kidding me right now? Take the points. You still have time to get 2 drives. You can score twice. But when Justin Fields got that touchdown, I think the Rams were only up by 6 or 7 points, but it felt like they were winning by much more because they were always in control. They were always in the driver's seat. You mentioned the 3 touchdowns for Stafford. It's not just the fact that he put those touchdowns up. It's how they got them. 2 of them were just absolute bombs. He hit Cooper Kupp wide open. He hit Van Jefferson for a big one, and he had a little run after the catch on that one. And the other one was a really, really nice throw and an even nicer catch in the back of the end zone to Robert Woods. So he spread it around to his 3 top receivers. Darrell Henderson got involved. Aaron Donald was causing havoc in the backfield. It was honestly like the perfect win for the Rams. I've been high on them all off season, and it was they couldn't have had a better debut on Sunday Night Football.
And I mentioned, it might have been last episode, that I had some concerns about Stafford adjusting just because of the 10 years in Detroit. So used to that. Yeah, that was all wrong.
You were just still in time on the podcast with that team.
Yeah, I tried to come up with a somewhat hot take, but
you tried to read
he has too much talent.
Something that it just didn't make it right into.
Yeah, McVay looked elated on the sidelines though. That's a bit of an upgrade.
A little bit. I mean,
Goff to Stafford.
Now.
Oof.
So I want to ask you,
he's what a great quarterback.
2 years ago, when I was in your position, I had the Tua jersey picked out after week 1. So I don't know how much college you've been watching so far, but is it Sam Howell, Rattler? Is it? I can't even say the Clemson quarterback's last name. I have to learn it. I don't know who it's going to be.
I mean, maybe it's Rattler. I think he threw for 5 touchdowns in either a half or a quarter, something like that.
Was it against Bishop Sycamore, he threw for what?
It was against a team probably in similar talent. Yeah, but whatever. I mean, he struggled week 1 or whatever. Yeah, I guess it was week 1. So, but the season's long. By the time the draft gets here, there'll be 5 quarterbacks that will all be the next Aaron Rodgers and the next Tom Brady.
Hey,
yeah, and they'll all go in the first round.
In fairness, all 5 that went this year, I've been impressed by, or at least thus far. Trevor Lawrence had a tough game, but he's still Trevor Lawrence. It was his first regular season loss of his entire career, so I think he'll be fine. But I don't know. Jaguars will be interesting to watch this year for sure. I want to do one last thing. Actually, no. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think there's potential for this Urban Meyer thing to just be a complete disaster. Like, I think it could just not work out at all.
I mean, I'll agree with that. We saw with
Saban.
But I don't think that's going to be an indicator on Trevor Lawrence. Like, I think Trevor Lawrence will be fine, but I have to agree with the Urban Meyer thing. I love how, and I guess I can kind of look back and think that this is a little silly, but of course, hindsight's 2020. How just the whole world thought the worst team in the league from a year ago, the Jaguars, were just going to steamroll the Houston Texans this week. And I know the Texans are bad, but they made some decent pickups in free agency.
But are they?
And listen, Tyrod Taylor has been a starter for so many years, and it was Trevor Lawrence's first game. I mean, I thought the Jaguars would kind of have the edge. So I guess I'm part of the crowd that I'm making fun of right now. I did not see the blowout coming though.
Well, I don't think anybody. If you called the blowout, you're a liar.
Yeah.
Tyrod Taylor looked like it might have been his best game of his career. He looked like better than vintage Bills playoff.
You think it was
Tyrod
Deshaun
Taylor.
Watson playing with a Taylor? I didn't watch any of that game. I'll be completely honest. I didn't watch 1 minute of it.
You saw the throw to Brandon Cooks.
No, I didn't. Was it
impressive? You gotta go pull up the highlights after this, and you'll come the next podcast. You'll be all in on the Texans and Tyrod Taylor. What a beautiful throw.
Maybe the Dolphins trade for a Texans quarterback this season, but it's not Watson. It's Tyrod Taylor.
It's Tyrod Taylor.
He just leads us to our first playoff win in forever.
Back to the AFC East to bring another, run of the mill AFC East team to the playoffs. But I doubt you'll lose to the Jaguars.
Yeah, that's a legendary.
That's my favorite playoff game ever.
I think that's no one can score. That's the worst. It's either the worst or the best playoffs ever in NFL history. I think the final four quarterbacks that year were Bortles, Case Keenum, Nick Foles, and then of course Tom Brady. So, anyways, 2019 or was it 2018 or 2019? Legendary NFL season. Yeah. But before we wrap up the show, I don't know when this next podcast is going to be. I'm assuming we'll do one before week 2.
Well, we have to. We have to get our picks.
We have to get our picks in. So yes, we do have to. But I want to ask you quickly because I don't know if we're going to do this before Thursday. So this week's Thursday night football game is the New York Giants, your New York Giants, against the Washington football team. Now, I was decently high on the football team at one point in the offseason. You've been beating the drum for the Giants that the whole offseason. You want to cancel them now. Football team's favored by 4, even with Fitzpatrick being out. I just want to know who you're taking.
On the spread or the money line?
Both.
Both. Who's at home?
Washington.
Oh no. I might have to go. I don't know. I think Daniel Jones might just be bad.
You know what I think though? I think this is going to be a really good game. Like, you know what this game might remind
Daniel
me
Jones
of?
in primetime, the last time he was in primetime, that he ripped off that run and he fell.
He fell flat on his face.
Against the Eagles. Yeah.
And I think the Giants might fall flat on their face in this game, but I think it's going to be like back and forth. It's going to either remind me of Titans Broncos last year in primetime or even that Vikings Bears one on Monday Night Football.
Or that Jaguars Bills playoff game that we just met. It could turn into that. That Washington defensive line against that Giants offensive line, things could get Saquon's going to rush for 3 yards.
Well, I'm taking Washington, so that's my pick. Lock that in.
I'll take Washington on the spread and the money line.
You know what's going to happen?
I'm all out on the Giants.
The Giants are going to win. The Giants are going to win. And next week you are going to come and say, I've been telling you all along about these Giants. They're for real. Kenny Galladay's top 10 receiver in the NFL. And I can't wait for it.
It is what. Oh wait, how were your spread picks? Quickly.
Oh, I was 2-2.
Do you even know?
I think I was 2-2. I got the Dolphins. The Saints Packers did not hit. I had the over under on that. The Packers scored 3 points. Thank you very much. Giants Broncos. I got that one wrong, but I had the Chargers covering against or I had them +1 against the Washington football team, and they won. So 2 for 2. Not a bad first week. Can't complain when you go 500.
As of now, I'm 2-1. I still have the Raiders because I picked them pre-Gus Edwards injury. Probably not.
The Ravens to beat the Raiders.
Ravens. What did I say? Oh, right. Yeah. I have the Ravens. Excuse me. -4. Thank God I got the Niners at 7.5 because later in the week it was 8.5, and that's a crushing.
I think it finished at 9.5. Actually,
that's tough. It's tough to see when you're up 30 and you blow it.
Well, I mean, next episode we'll lock in the week 2 spread picks. We'll preview the week as well. But I think that's going to do it all for today, unless you have any last words about week 1.
No, that's it. Week 1 wrapped it up. That's it. Great week 1 though.
Great week 1.
8 out of 10.
I'm 0-2, and I mean, all my fantasy teams lost. So the NFL's back. What else is new? Nature is healing. I'm back to losing in fantasy.
Yeah. I have Brandon Ayuk in all of my leagues, and he was out there doing cardio. 0 targets, 0 catches. Thank you very much.
All right. Well, if you made it to the end, thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next week.
Like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Take it easy.